Good evening, guys. Welcome to Tuesday at Two Lines. Hope you're doing well. Happy Tuesday. I know everybody's got a lot going on in their lives, and you choose to hang out with me for an hour and a half or so on Tuesdays, and I'm very thankful for that. So hope you're doing well out there. Looks like there's, lots of stuff in the chat. Oh, my gosh. I'm just going to quick shout out Ragtop Pat, John Tucci, Gloria. Hello, Gloria. Welcome. Good to have you. Hopefully you enjoy the live stream. Rob is in the house. The Fingers, of course. Daryl Rogers is in there. Who else? John Tucci, Curvy, Nick. What's going on, guys? Good to have you, Chris. Welcome, Chris, Jeff G, Scott. I'm going to do a quick shout out to Scott. Scott, Thursday night at Cincy Slots, walked up to me and handed me a box, and it was a wireless microphone set. And if we go check out the layout tonight, I may plug it in real quick and use it and see how it performs. I did some testing, and it's pretty handy. So Scott, man, thanks. I really still don't know what to say, but I really appreciate it. And Greg is in the house. So we may have some wireless action in the shop. You can probably tell that did some work on the layout this week. I posted a couple pictures on Instagram, made some comments. Yeah, I don't know. It tells me how much I really enjoyed the old layout. So, but if you haven't checked it out, it'll be a subject of tonight's discussion. So, anyway, today's been a busy day. I was in the office, but out, had an event, and it kept me pretty busy, but I was busy fixing hamburgers and steak at the last county fair in the state of Ohio, Fairfield County Fair. It is always the last of the county fairs for the summer, and it's October. So, but every year I volunteer for the cattleman's booth with a bunch of my coworkers, and we spent the day making cheeseburgers and ribeye steak sandwiches, and I smell like a steak. Finn, the dog, was very happy when I got home. So anyway, who else? Grandson of Man is in the house. Rob. Let's see, Daryl, Slot Car Daddy. Welcome. Good to have you, Slot Car Daddy. Hey, Eric. Greg, it's going to be a great night. I hope so. I don't know, man. This layout, that's what I figured we'd talk about. And their iterations of it, and some of the changes I already want to make. So we'll jump on that here shortly. Deck Night, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Gary Dunmore is in the house. Patriot Hobbies in the house. Hey, Scott. Thanks, man. Hey, Reese. Welcome. Hope things are well across the pond. Thanks for joining. Billy, I don't know what this is behind me. It is a big 4-lane track, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Frankie, Tomatoes. Thanks, Gloria. Appreciate it. Greg, Scott Marble. Patricia. What's up, Patricia? Sean Casey. Josh Reed. Welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Yeah, Josh, it's coming along. Hey, Travis, welcome. Good to have you, man. Travis, I tore down my layout, and I rebuilt a 4-lane layout. And I have to admit that at first glance and first laps, I was not happy. I did not enjoy it. I was missing my layout right off the bat. But I got it up and running a couple days ago. Haven't really had a lot of time with it, but I've run a couple of laps, and it's getting better. So we'll see. We'll give you a tour here in a minute. Russell, what's up? Good to have you. John Albright, just in time. I am already way behind. So, yeah, man. Hey, Tad. Thanks for joining. If I miss anybody, I apologize, guys, but we'll jump right in. Hey, Dave. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I know you won't last long, bro. It's past your bedtime. I'm just going to say hi to everyone so I don't get flagged for spam. Hey, Brad. It's fall, so it's time to fire up the track. Yes. So, hey, Jim Anthony, good to have you. Haven't heard from you in a while. Marty's got an interstate in his basement. It's a much smaller layout. Hey, John Mark. Yeah, that's right. Remember, I am 2 lines because my daughter's names are Madeline and Caroline, and both of their names end in Line. So that's where the 2 lines come from. It just happens to be kind of clever because my track had 2 lanes, right? 2 lines. So, but yeah, so there we are. I think I caught up. If I missed saying hello, yeah, I'm sorry, but let's jump right in. I don't want to waste a bunch of time. Let's talk about the big elephant in the room, and that would be the 4-lane track. So I'll try to stay out of the shot. John Albright says I was just out tuning an SRC Lola T600. Oh boy. I don't have a lot of experience with SRC, but the 2 cars that I have are really pretty well. Actually, one car I have is mine, and the other is John Mark's, and they're both really good cars. Yeah, Greg, quicker laps make you feel fast. Steve, welcome, Steve. Good to have you, man. 2 lines with 4 lanes. Yeah, so table size, I'll remind all of you guys, it's 8 foot wide and it is 24 feet long. So it's pretty big. But when it comes to building a 4-lane track, that's not a ton of space. I know Billy will argue with me, but you are really limited to what you can do because it immediately starts encroaching off the 8-foot table. If you had 10 feet to work with, even maybe 9 feet, it would be so much better. But it really, Carrera is a really wide track, and this is where I think Polycar has an advantage with its slightly smaller lane spacing, although you probably bump a lot more on the track when you're racing. So, I mean, that's what you run into. It's give and take with all of the track systems, but Carrera is really big at 4 lanes with borders. So, but I like it. It's different. You know what? Let's take a look at so you guys can see what the layout looks like. Let's do this. So, guys, this is what the track looks like from the standpoint of the track planner. You can see that it's 1,748 centimeters, which translates to about 57 feet, I think. I'm not sure if I'm doing my math right, but you can kind of get a look at where I ended up. Now, this is a design not completely on my own. I found a couple pictures on Pinterest, of all places. Or no, Flickr. It was a Flickr, and it was somebody's 4-lane track, and it was very similar to this. I've changed the end turns just to add some varying radiuses and that little kink on the right-hand side, which is really interesting. But it's got a nice, good long straight, so you can really stretch the legs and gives you mentally a chance to. Oh, my camera died. All right, guys, hang in there. All right, I'm back, but I don't know how long it'll last. We'll see. I'm not sure what caused it to die. But so you can see I've got some varying radiuses on the right end, and on the left end, it's pretty much an R1, R2 turn on the left side. You get these little short straights, and really they're not long enough to really gain a lot of speed, but they definitely really upset the car. And the first couple times I made some laps, I really struggled getting around. And then I cleaned the track, which I would always recommend doing. And the laps got better, but the first night I probably ran 25 or 30 laps and was like, I'm done. And that was I was running that digitally, so I got the track up digital. So I was running it with a couple of my Carrera cars. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't touched my Carrera cars in a long time, and I realized that I wasn't enjoying the track that way. So I was bound and determined to get it to switch over to analog. So right now, it is running 2 lanes digital, 4 lanes analog, mainly because I ran out of wire, and I need I need a couple of other little things, and then I will be able to switch 4 lanes digital, 4 lanes analog. And honestly, it wasn't that difficult. It just takes a lot of wire and some patience and some soldering and all those things. But when it's complete, it's still a work in progress. I don't have any of the guardrails up yet. I have built on the one end, the far end, I've built a little wall around that corner because it edges off the table slightly. And then right here in front of me, I've got another little table that I have the track propped up on this end. So still have a lot to do, but it is it's getting there. And I will say that it's getting better. My camera died again. It looks like my battery is exhausted. So, well, let's continue to talk about this, and then I'll fix that. So, I think that it's a difficult track because the straight, you have lots of speed, and then you've kind of got to slam on the brakes to get into that big right-hand turn. And because of that, you're swapping out a lot of speed. That really it's really a struggle until you kind of get used to it. And the reason why I say it's a struggle is because for the last 9 months, my track has not had it's not had any R1 turns. So because of that, it really is a struggle until you get a few laps in and it starts getting better. All right. Technical difficulties, fellas. The camera has died, so we moved over to the webcam. We'll see if we can get that back. So let's continue. Sorry. I haven't had technical difficulties like this in a long time. So how big is your box of leftover track? So the box of leftover track is pretty. It has a bunch of 415s, but outside of that, I've used a lot of the track. I just have a lot of 415 turns that are still, that are not in use now because of the track changes. But I'm not getting rid of my track. I don't know how long this will last. So don't forget it. If you have a question, throw a queue up because I can actually search for that. And thanks, Travis. It's 4 lanes is fun, and we've been on a couple 4-lane tracks that we just had a blast on, and that's why I wanted to try something in the space that I have. But to have a really, you just have to have a big space for 4 lanes, for a big 4-lane layout. You can build a small 4-lane layout, no problem at all. And I know that there are guys out there that squeeze a lot of track in a small space, and I'm not discounting that. But the last layout I had was 97 feet, the lane length. It was it flowed really well. It was very smooth track. It was great for no-mag racing. And this one's just a little more technical, and that's okay, because that's probably what we need to work on. I say we, me and my brother and John Mark and anybody who comes over and races on this layout. I think having 4 lanes will be fun. When the guys are over, be able to do some round robin racing and get a few more races in. That's really was my goal, but it is what it is. I think that the track is going to have to grow on me for a little bit, and that's okay. It'll do that. It already started getting better last night. I ran a handful of different cars in each of the lanes, and it was good. I was getting the lap times down, starting to get smoother. It's going to change a little bit. It's going to change the some of the tuning, maybe. Really important to get grip, and I think that's going to be crucial. So getting the front end set up properly so that we can get lots of grip in the back. I'm under the age of 100, so my speech can seem a little foreign to the average slaughter. Nice. Daryl Rogers, that's certainly a possibility, but I think it's going to be fairly decent with a few more tweaks. I missed what Daryl said. Slaughter, you're shuddering at the amount of R1s. Let me throw that back up. So, yeah, you've got R1s on that right side. But honestly, if you get your controller set up, you can roll through that R1 if you hit your brake point pretty easy. The one here on the left at the end of the straightaway, I've already, after a few, after a few different laps, I've kind of got it figured out already. Jeff G asks, I missed the question. Oh, what's your average lap times? So Jeff, we were talking about 56, 57 feet, I think, of lane length, and I'm running 5.6s. We'll go check the board. I'll run a few laps here in a minute. But I'm running like 5.6, 5.7s, and I feel pretty good about that lap time. I think it's getting around this track really, really good. Joe Rose, welcome, Joe. Thanks for joining tonight. Joe is a good friend of mine from church. He plays in the worship band with me. So, Joe, thanks for joining. I'm having technical difficulties. My main camera died on me, and so I'm having to try lots of different things. And I guess I could go to what camera is this? I could go to this. No. There it is. I could go to this, right? But I think it's going to be choppy because it's wireless. So I think we'll go back to this one. I think that'll work better. So, yeah, some of the things that I've talked about doing already. I already have some ideas of how I might want to tweak this a little bit. So DeFingers, so Marty, what you're saying, one needs to drive this track. Yeah, DeFingers, I think that it's definitely a different driving experience. And you really have to feather the throttle, and you really have to get your controller set up right. And I think that, like, once that happens, I really started churning out some pretty quick laps. Yes, John Albright, R1s certainly put a premium on setup. I would agree. I think there are some cars that specifically that I know. I feel like the shorter wheelbase cars are much quicker than on my other layout. I think that my longer wheelbase cars don't like the twitchy stuff as much. Seem to really upset those cars. Marty, it's a nice layout. You shouldn't have no problem running on it. Your other track had more turns. Yeah, it's not that it's complicated. I mean, it's a pretty simple layout. It's a different driving experience. John Albright, when is Dusty Ford going to bust off some laps on the new layout? I thought maybe he might come over tonight, but is he in the chat? But I've been busy, and I just had a crazy day, so I really didn't get a chance to talk to him. But yeah, DeFingers, I will give it some time. I'm not going to give up on it, but there are a couple things that I want to do almost immediately that we'll talk about here in a second. But hopefully, Dusty, I want to get somebody else's opinion, driving some laps around it. John Mark stopped by last night, ran a few laps, really didn't get much time. So he probably didn't get enough to really have an idea of whether he liked it or not. I can see your dinner table conversations with your wife. Honey, I need a bigger home. That's right. Yeah, Scott, I believe that's part of this is we added some technical things that we felt like we needed to work on. Johnny Pro, I'm back to Smart Race. Smart Race is doing an awesome job doing analog timing with the 4-lane. I need to figure out race coordinator so we can start doing some round robin racing. But I had a long conversation with Mark from Smart Race. I don't think he's on tonight. But he reached out to me via email, and I sent a giant email back to him. And he wanted to better understand round robin racing and sort of how we race here in the States, and have a better understanding of that to see if he might not easily be able to implement that into Smart Race. And so I did my best to describe the rotation of lanes from lane to lane and the continuation of a lap. I think that's the biggest thing. But Lapmaster does some calculation based on your average lap time to give you partial lap credit. And I thought if Smart Race could do that, then you could always start at the start-finish line, and you wouldn't have to place your car, to start where you stopped. Because what happens is that Smart Race, when it starts a new race, it has to re-register each controller or each lane the first time they cross the start-finish line. And so that complicates things in the normal round-robin sense of it. And so I gave him a bunch of different scenarios, and we'll see if he can write that into Smart Race. But that's the timer I'm using right now, mainly because it's what I have. Race Coordinator, I was using a trial version of the motion sensor, and I'm struggling to find a free, if anybody knows of a free program out there that's a motion detection for web cameras that will run a command, like an executable file. Because the one I'm using was a 15-day trial, and it's $45. And I'm like, at $45, I really would like to spend that money on Lapmaster, because I really like Lapmaster's interface and their screen and how it looks. But I will say Race Coordinator does an awesome job. I just wish the webcam piece was built into it. You didn't have to use a third party for that. But race coordinator's free, so I can't really complain too much. Billy, that's a great comment. If you don't like something about your tracks, change it. I've already redesigned this track about 12 or 13 times. I've started with this, and I've started manipulating and moving and changing. My biggest thing is I really don't want to spend a bunch of money on track. I'm trying to use the existing track that I have without investing a bunch of money into more track, that if I go back to my present layout that I had before this, then I've got a bunch of wasted, a box full of wasted track. And I don't feel good about that as a person who tries to be frugal. So that's the thing. So, but there are things that I don't love about this track at this point, but they're growing on me. It just comes with doing, getting more laps in. But yeah, that's the beauty of that. It's great that this wasn't I built a wood track and now I'm stuck with it and I don't love it. Right. So that's why I think, coming up with your own design is great until you get some laps on it and you realize that maybe you made some mistakes in the layout. And that's the scary thing about building your own wood routed track. But yeah, I'm not afraid to change it, Billy. And I'm already looking at doing that. I'll share with some of those with you. What were the old lap times compared to now? So my fastest lap, no magnet, on my old layout was just a hair under 7 seconds. So, and that was really fast. Normal lap times were low 8s for fast cars. The one that ran has a lot of mag downforce in the motor, and so it is no magnets. But I don't know if it's really fair to say that because there was a lot of downforce in the motor. So, but yeah, Dusty, hopefully he'll get here this weekend. Curvy, have you found your favorite lane? So that's the funny part. So originally my lanes were blue and white, and so I've added red and yellow. So those are the two inside lanes. So working from right to left in your camera view, this is the yellow lane, the inside lane, and it's red, and then it's white, and then it's blue. And so originally the white lane was the fastest, right here, lane 3. This is lane 4. And then each car, it was different. And so I've got one car that the yellow lane is the fastest lane. I've got one car that the red lane's the fastest lane. And I've got one car that the white lane's the fastest lane. But this outside lane, this blue lane, is tough on this side. And so it's got some pretty sharp kinks, and cars struggle a little bit. And so you lose a lot of time. So the outside lane, the blue lane, is probably going to be the slowest lane, and I think that all the other 3 lanes are all really close. Do I have a favorite? I'm probably liking the red lane and the two middle lanes the best. Although I can get really quick on the yellow lane, the inside lane, which I surprised myself. So Curvy, there you go. Let's see. Marty, does Marty keep cutting out for you guys? Yeah, my camera died. Sorry. If I'm losing something else, maybe I've got more going on, guys. I apologize. What else? Just let me know. Might be a time for a reboot. Is it really bad? Is that it's not 4K, I don't think. Those are just web pages. Buffering. Not good. Is my live stream dead? The back straight with the 3 kinks is a tough part of the track I saw on the video posted. I would, as soon as you can change to one layout with the switchbacks, as you'll be much happier. Yeah. Hey, Anthony Wake, I couldn't wait to find out how to see how your 4-lane came out. I was sharing that. Can anybody tell me if I'm back or not? So I can't tell if I'm actually streaming live or I'm dead in the water. So let's do this. If it's this, I'm going to kill this. Quit. Greg, I don't know how to. Okay, thanks, Hex Boy. I appreciate making me feel better. I can't tell if you guys are having problems or not. So, hey, Mad P, welcome. Mark, you never lost me. Okay, I'm just going to keep rolling. Sorry, guys. Apologize. So let me show you some changes I'm looking at. So let's do this. Web. So some changes. So this is the present layout. And then let's go here. And so this is one of the changes. It's got some switchbacks in it. Also trying to make it fit the table a little better. And then I also have to think about marshalling. How hard is it to marshal? So that's always something I'm thinking about. And so yeah. Curvy, add some slow inclines and take the elevation up like the way Butch's wood track goes. Only drawback would be you would most likely need to purchase track. Yeah, Curvy, that's I have one design that is basically mimicking Butch's wood track in Carrera digital. So I can actually show you that. I have it. So this is one iteration. Another iteration is this. What this is a 6-lane track that I designed, and I pulled the middle out. And this fits on my table really well, actually. And it's a 6-lane. So here's the 6 lanes. So I feel like that could be a possibility down the road to go to 6 lanes. Okay. Thanks, Scott. It's better now. I killed a process that was running. I'm guessing my laptop is running out of hard drive space and it's struggling. Patricia, thanks. I appreciate that. Let's see here. We use mags and no mag here at home. Yeah, the fingers, we run magnets and no magnets. We've done so much no mag racing as of late. But this is a 6-lane, and I basically took the middle lane out. Middle lane's out, and that's a possibility. It has different lane lengths though, so that's one problem that I have. So here's what I'm going to do. Let's go back here. So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to go tour the track. We'll make that happen. And then I'm going to give you guys the link to my present track, and it should have the table size included in it, in the background so you can see. And I'm going to let you guys, if you want, if you're up for it, I've been getting a couple of track ideas based on the table size. Jason Coburn, thank you. He sent me 2 different designs. I can show you what he actually did. I created it. Let's see here, Jason Coburn. he sent me one of the designs. And here that is. Turn the colors on so you can see what that looks like. So Jason Coburn sent me this. And that's actually looks really good. I think I could probably create that. Again, I have to buy some track. I mean, you talk about technical. I think that's a technical track. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a link to this track to everyone in the chat. And if you would like to take my existing track and try your hand at designing based on my layout and give me your thoughts and changes that you might make to my existing layout to make it better. Now, if I have to buy a few track pieces, not a problem. But if I have to buy 60 track pieces, I'm not really into that. But let me see. Somebody mentioned Butch's track, and so I recreated Butch's track. Sort of. It's sort of a. It's in the style of Butch's track. Let's go back up here. And so this is what I have for Butch's track. And the reason why it's separated is because that top lane would actually sit over top of the bottom lane. So just for design space purposes, just understand that. And so that's kind of what that track looks like. It's similar. It's not exactly like Butch's, but it's similar. And we'll kind of roll with that and check it out. So what to do next? So if you want to try your hand at that, it would be cool to see some other ideas. But shout out to Jason for sending me those. I really appreciate it. And it's kind of fun. Corner spears are unrealistic with magnets. I can't even say that word in some company. Yes, Steve. We really do enjoy. Running no magnets. So, all right, let's. I'm gonna clear this out and let's go do a walk around. And you guys tell me. I do have a ton of R1 turns though. Yeah, Johnny Pro. I think everybody does, right? We all have too many R1 turns. So let's move this mic out of the way so the camera will focus. I'll get out of the way so you guys can actually see if you can hear me. And plug the microphone in. So check one. Do you have me? All right. So I'm going to do a walk around. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. We'll test the wireless mic. It's not perfect. I don't know how far away I can get, but I'll fire it up. So I'm in the white lane right now. I really need to clean the track. There's been so much going on. There we go. As soon as I get on camera. But so as you can see, here there's a nice little kink, which is really interesting when you're driving the cars. You really have to navigate that. And that big right-hander there at the end of the straight is a lot of fun. The kink down the straight, roll through that turn, and then navigate that. And so I think it's this piece right here that I really, from this section to under the bridge, is what really I don't love. This piece right here, I love this. I love that turn. And so it's how do I create some nice S's out of that and take up that table space, but work my way back to the underpass or the overpass. There we go. So that's the white lane. Lap times. So my fastest lap there was 5.4. 5770 was the last lap. So in the mid fives in the white lane. So let's jump over to the yellow lane, which is the inside. And so I built my own. I needed 2 more driver stations, so I built my own, and they turned out okay. They're not as professional looking as the slot car corner ones, but so you roll through that sharp ooh, a little sideways. So there's the big problem. And that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. So if you saw that I went out, let me mute that. So if you saw, I crashed coming out of that turn in underneath the bridge. And that's a big marshalling issue. And originally when I designed it, you can see that I have the bridge going over the straight. But when I built it the opposite because I thought that all the digital lane changing is in this big straight. Yeah, so I think that I want to swap that so that the straight, we're going to have less crashes under the bridge in that straight. It'll be easier to marshal people coming through that turn, that dog leg coming in. So that's kind of one of the things that I do want to change immediately. It'll probably happen after the live stream tonight. So yeah, that is one of the problems. So back to some laps. Let me check on what do we have going on here. So Pat says, I'm really loving magnet racing more so than no mags. I like magnet racing too. It's just cars are so much faster with magnets because you've got so much downforce. Caveman, hello fingers. That's good. Looks like the slots are hanging up in the groove. Check clearances. Yeah, Caveman. The last layout didn't have any R1s. And so we didn't really have that issue. But these little tighter turns, I've noticed that slot invasion guides, they don't really catch. It's probably just me overdriving it. A little too much traction coming out of, or a little too tail happy coming out of a turn. So maybe just getting on the acceleration a little early. You agree with the others that the turns are too tight. The turns through the dog legs on this backside here, these are too tight. Yeah. Yep. I agree. That's why I'm like looking at something more like this. That's why I'm looking at something more like that. Ease those turns a little bit. I still got a few technical turns, but it's really a little different. So yeah, real problem is having to reach under and find the car, which tells me my bridge probably needs to be a little taller. Oh. And I think that by moving the straight, we're better off. And I think I'm better off by putting the straight below the bridge. So, baby steps. First 4-lane track I've tried. You learn. You learn each time you throw let's try the red lane. Try the red lane. I could try a different car. Yeah, it's definitely much different. Not quite the flow that I'm used to from the first track, or the last layout, I guess. But it definitely feels more like a track that you see at like all the European, those big Ninko and Scale Auto tracks, and even the Polycar tracks. They've got all these little short straights and turns, and so I feel like there's a lot of snapping to the car in those layouts. A little less flow. So what are we running? Those laps are the white lane. I've got the fastest. I ran a 5.4. The yellow I was running 5.6s. The red I just ran 5.7s in the red. So this car's not quite as fast as in the red, which is kind of odd. Maybe I'm just not driving well. Keep overdriving it. Again, I really need to clean this track. I haven't cleaned it since I rebuilt it, and so I'm dealing with some dirt. Yeah, I moved into second. The nice thing about Smart Race is it really it shows you, you know, the differences. Let's move out to the blue lane. See what kind of lap times we get out here with this car. Probably should clean the tires, to be fair. Yeah. Especially since I haven't ran that lane a whole lot. You guys still getting my audio? I don't know how it sounds. Check. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. No audio? No audio. Oh yeah, you got it. So let's run a few laps in the blue lane. See what kind of times we're getting there. So in the red, that was the lane I was just in, right? Red lane, I ran a 5.645. Ooh. Yeah, this blue lane's the tough lane, man. Right there, that's a tough turn. Tough turn, and I jump on the acceleration a little too. Didn't let the car settle in. So I guess that's the one thing that I'm doing is I'm having some fun just learning a new layout, right? And what changes have happened and how you have to change your driving style with each track that you go to. And so blue lane was still the slow lane. I was running 5.9s, 5.8s. So not too shabby. I can't complain too much. Let's mute that. So, all right, let's catch up with the chat. Don't care what anyone says. It takes some skill to push a magnet car to the ragged edge without breaking traction, but when it happens, the carnage factor rises significantly. So, John, that's my opinion too. Like, if I look at my cars that I run magnets, they really have a lot of damage to them. And I noticed that all of my no magnet cars, speeds are a little slower. You got to drive them more. We just find that it's just a little more challenge from that standpoint, but the cars really just don't take the beating. And then you take magnet and digital, where you've got cars in the same lane, and I feel like that really complicates things. So what do I miss? Oh, caveman. Anthony, I don't know how good the wireless sounds. I threw it up on my hat because I didn't know what else to do. Um, yeah, this webcam is struggling to focus on me being up so close. Um, but anyway, uh, yeah, it's a pretty big room. I mean, this table is 24 feet, and I've got about 2 feet at the end of the table between that and the wall. And then I've got another probably 12 feet this direction. I mean, I could always make the track longer, but I'm not sure that longer is better. Um, with this track, the being able to go a little wider would really change some of the things that I could create from a layout standpoint. Yeah, Greg, the flow just isn't. It's not the same, and it's not that it's bad. Um, I'm getting the hang of this track and the layout. It's just different. It's just a lot different, and that's all right. Get your tail wiggle just as you enter the long straights. Yeah, and that's just me learning to drive it. Again, I should probably wipe the track down, and that might help. It will take getting used to, but I think tight turns have their place. Yeah, Slot Car Dojo. I think that we got really used to the flow of the last layout, and change is tough. But I mean, I'm not afraid of change. Sometimes you don't like it, but I think as soon as you accept it, you can adapt faster. And so that's what I think I'm doing. I'm learning to drive a car a different way. And I think that, I'll be honest, I think it's hurt us a little bit when we go to a place like Butch's track, where he's got some tighter turns, even on that big wood track, that you really got to brake and let your car roll through and then accelerate out of. And in the other layout, that was pretty easy because R2s, R3s, R4s, just easier to drive. And I love the flow of that, but it's different. So Anthony, I think that this will be fun with 4 people rotating through the lanes. That's what I'm looking forward to. So if I was here racing by myself all the time, there is no reason for me to go to a 4-lane track. Doesn't make any sense. I'll go right back to the layout. But I'm not always by myself. My brother comes over a lot, and it's just the 2 of us. Well, 2 lanes accommodate that. But there's a lot of time there's 3 of us or even 4 of us. And that's where we run digital so that people aren't sitting around. But I think we've really grown to love to drive our slotted cars and our Revo slots and all of our other brands of cars, our Thunder slots, our Sideways, all of those brands and we don't have to put chips in everything. And some of those cars, I don't want to put a chip in because I don't want to tear them up. Like, I've been racing them hard, no magnet, great. But my cars that I've raced digitally, they just don't. They've taken a beating. And so protecting some of my cars, you politely disagree? Well, so Billy, I agree with you. They have these giant tracks, but it's just a huge series of these short, tight little short shoots from turns to turn. I mean, they just, I feel like those layouts don't have a really good flow. There's a lot of just 90-degree turns in those, and just hard kinks. And that's, that's what this reminds me of, this right here. is some of those tracks. Not, I'm not talking about the size of the track. I'm talking about the way they build the turns. And anyway, sorry, maybe you misunderstood me. Yeah. With that said, non-mag puts a premium on tuning. Yep, we talk a lot about that, John. That's what we've really gotten into, is tuning and making it better. I'm working on my own track layout too. I feel the struggle. Justin, like, that's the thing, is until you build it, you don't know, right? You don't know if you're going to like it. And we went through 4 or 5 iterations of the last layout to get to that layout, because we started deciding things that we liked and didn't like. One of the early, we had like 120 feet of lane length, but we had bridges everywhere, and it was just impossible to marshal. And so we spent a lot of time marshaling, and we were like, we need to cut that out. Like, let's just eliminate it, shorten the track a little bit and get rid of that. And so you start finding the things that you like about a track and finding the things you don't like about a track. And in the last layout, we were fortunate. We kind of nailed it. And it took a bunch of people with input to make it happen, but it was pretty easy to marshal from one side of the track. You came out of the slot in very predictable places that were really easy to reach most of the time, unless something odd happened. And so Justin, it's really hard. It's easy to throw a bunch of track pieces together and make a spaghetti track, which I think is what Travis calls it. And like, that's not what I'm really into. I'm not really into a spaghetti track. I want a track that has good flow. So that's why there'll be tweaks to this track. This is probably not the final installation of a 4-lane track. But to make the corrections that I need to make, I need to collect some more track. So over the next couple months, that's what I'll do. So we'll live with this for a little while, and then we'll try to start creating some things. So we've talked about the track for almost an hour. So thanks, Eric. I think that the wireless mic sounds a little different. I'm very used to this studio quality microphone. And so I know it's going to sound a little different, but I think the ability to move around the track was fantastic. Scott, again, thank you, bro. It was awesome, but a learning curve at much higher speed. So one of the things that I've had to do with this layout is we always ran 14 volts in the last layout, and I tuned it down to 12 volts. So I'm running less voltage just to slow the cars down a little bit so we can learn to drive the track. So that kink on the bottom turn seems to be interrupting the flow more than you think. Right here. Yeah, I agree. I kind of like it. But it does change things, right? It does create an obstacle. I don't tend to come out of the slot there, but I can't carry as much speed through this big turn as I feel like I should be able to, because you can't get on the accelerator because you still have that little kink back the other direction. So, but that's one of the things that might change in the next iteration. So I'm up for suggestions. And Billy, you've designed a ton of tracks, so I'm always up for your suggestions. So thanks, man. It could create an issue coming out of the turn, and using the lane changers will cause some deslotting, right? I guess I enjoy the thrill of speed and total devastation. It's not that I don't. I mean, I've got a bunch of Carrera cars down here on the shelf that tell you that we like it. Peter, so if we go back to the layout picture, I'll give you kind of a color code. I apologize if you are colorblind. I guess I never thought about that. So go here. There we go. So the orange are R1s. The yellow are R2s or 230s. The green are 330s, and the blue are 415s. So hopefully that helps you understand the legend. So, I mean, if you come over here, you can hit You can see how many of each I'm using. Just so you know what I've got, I have about 12 R1 turns. I've got 4 of the 130s, the half R1s. I have 24 230s. I have 12 330s, and I have 24. So you can see I just did not use very many of the R15s, and I would really like to get some of those R15, R4s. I'd really like to get some of those back in the layout, and I would really like for them to be up here in that some way. So hopefully that helps clarify some things. Joseph, here, Clearwater. That debate has ruined so many good communities. Is that the magnet, no magnet? Yeah, I'm sure it has. People. Let's see, Daryl. Put the straight under the short straight, and it will be easier to marshal, and you can see the tight spot better. Yeah, I agree, Daryl. I think that's that's probably the first thing I'll do. Yeah, Dusty probably won't get to drive it this way, which will change that because that'll put that there won't be a hill going up over on the straight, and that will change it. So we'll see how it changes it. Should be fun. Yep, Grits Racing Club, 12 volts. I'm a little behind. I apologize. I'll catch up. Clint, thanks, man. It's fun. Like I'm starting to enjoy it as I get more and more laps. But I will tell you, the first go through, man, I didn't like it. George, do not worry about being an hour late. No worries, my friend. Hey, thanks, Peter. Thanks for tuning in. Yep, the new layout, I was always going to take some seat time to find the quick way around. The cars may need adjusting as well. Yeah, John, I think that's one of the things that I'll have to figure out is what it's going to take from a tuning standpoint. Let's see here. I'm talking into my phone and I don't proofread. So bear with me before I said, Anthony, no worries, man. Blind Dog, Marty, your driving skills will improve in the same way that the NASCAR drivers and IndyCar drivers do. Thanks. The more laps I get, I'm sure the quicker my lap times will get. And like I said, I'll probably enjoy the track more. Yeah. Vin, just joined. The track looks really nice. Thanks, Vin. It has some issues. We've talked about the bridge. The short chute needs to go over top of the long straight. That's one of the things the changes that's going to happen. Thomas, Area 51, has anyone ever mentioned that the Part 3 Carrera tune video doesn't load? Maybe that's my phone. Oh, okay. Yep. If you show up with silicone tires at most of the Euro track, you'll give you the boot too. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, they want that rubber buildup. Joseph, your cars were tuned for a different flow track. Not only will you learn the new over time, you'll learn to retune cars for the new course. Yeah, Joseph, we've talked a lot. You and I have actually talked a lot about this, that I'm enjoying the process of tuning and figuring out what helps a car do what, right? And so now I've got to tune a car for a more technical track, where traction is even going to be more of a premium. So I've really got to figure that piece out. That's one of the things that I've not been great at. John Albright jumps on me all the time about how tail happy some of my cars are, and I've just learned to drive them, right? But it's all losing speed. And so I feel like I'm doing great on my track, and then I go to Cincy Slots and I find out that I'm a couple tenths off of everybody there, all the fast guys, because I'm just not getting the traction that other people are getting. And so that's one of the things I've got to figure out, right? And so that just comes with practice and tuning more cars over and over. So yeah, I agree, and I look forward to that. That challenge is good for me. Thanks, George. Appreciate it, man. Let's see. It's just a learning curve, Marty. When you get it down, you will love your new layout. I think I will. I think that, like Greg said, I think that this section back here just needs a little more. I think there's some more things that I can do there to take advantage of that open space in the table and maybe create a little more flow. Even if that's some S-turns. I loved the S-turns on the last layout. And I was like, how do I take that same S-turn and implement it here somewhere in some way, in some version of it? And so that's one of the things I keep working on. Coffee, yes. I think Dusty mentioned it earlier. Let's do our shout out to Rost. Thanks, John Albright. My buddy Trent at roastcoffee.com used 2 lines and you get a discount, 25% off your first purchase, 20% off a lifetime of a coffee subscription. And just had coffee there today. Trent wasn't in, but I look at that space and it would be awesome to set this layout or some type of layout in there for one day and just have a big coffee and slot cars event. And so I still want that to happen. But man, if you get a chance and you love coffee, make sure you put coffee in the comments, and we'll be giving away some coffee tonight. So I really, really appreciate the fact that you guys support my friend. It means a lot, and I thank you for it. What else? If I was at my laptop, I'd design one. Thanks, Billy. I put the link in there. Remember, you can go. You don't have to start with nothing. You have my table size and my existing layout, and you can start changing that around. I do like the big long straight. I'm just going to say, if there's got to be some. I like to be able to stretch the car out a little bit, and so yeah, just make sure. Ouch, George. But man, your videos are killing it right now, dude. You're doing awesome. Gloria is a pretty good non-mag driver. Way to go, Gloria. See, I think that just no magnets, it really, like tuning becomes so much more important. But then when you go back to magnets, that tuning really pays off. Daryl let me borrow one of his magnet cars. It was a slotted McLaren, and like a thing broke out under 5 seconds on my old layout. It was unbelievable how fast that car was. But when it came off the track, man, you knew it, and you had no idea where it was going to land. 8. So Johnny Pro, 8 drivers would be sweet on that track. So 8 guys here running 4 lanes, rotating. I know that's the whole reason why I wanted to build a 4-lane track. I just think I think it'd be so much fun to have a track day here with 4 lanes and 4 guys driving at once instead of 2. Yeah. And then this track digital with 6 guys being able to run digital, 2 people marshaling. 2 people can cover a lot of this track. It's easier to get around now because I was able to take the back wall off for the most part, and that really makes it easy from both sides of the track to marshal. So it really does become easier. Do you change the amps at all? If so, any real difference? Caveman, so I changed the voltage. And then the amps are just what the cars draw. And so I have a 10 amp power supply. And so that gives me about 2 amps per lane with a couple of amps left over. If I went any bigger, obviously I'd probably need a second power supply to kind of split up that duty. But right now, until we get 4 cars going at once, I won't know if I've got an issue with too much draw. I imagine if I had a bunch of high-powered motors on here, then I might be in a little bit of trouble. But that's something that we need to magnet and carnage, but build the right track. Not so much of a problem. Yeah, Wild Man, I think you can have a great layout. I think our last layout was a good digital layout. It had such good flow. To me, the first area I experiment with is the kink at the top of the kink and the kink before the underpass. I'd try turning them into a big sweeping turn. I could send you the softy bond. Justin, did you see my link to my layout? If you want to start there and make any changes, have at it, and you can just send me the link, and I would love to look at your designs. I think that would be just a fun part. That's what Jason said. He's like, you should have had a contest, somebody to design your 4-lane. My problem is what I'd probably end up doing is taking ideas from one and another, and that's kind of how we ended up with the last layout. So thanks. This has been fun. Marty, at least the guys I race with from Slot Car Corner remind me they've been doing this a long time compared to you and me. We were doing good for just having a yellow bumper taper moon. Steve, you're right. I haven't been doing this a whole long time. So I'm happy with where I'm at as a slot car racer. I always want to get better. My brother, holy cow, changing controllers for him was night and day. He is super fast right now, and I'm not sure how much longer I'll be able to keep up with him. He's really, really getting quick, and he's getting better at tuning his cars. So I don't even have that advantage anymore. We do a lot of knowledge share. I love the fact that his cars, when we race, we are so tight. We were within both races at Cincy Slots last week, a total of 16 feet between the two races we finished. He was about 8 to 10 feet in front of me in race 1, and the class 2, I was about 8 to 10 feet ahead of him. So, it's like within 20 feet. Really, it's within 10 feet because of, plus and minus, but that's just how close we were. Yeah, we like speed. Yep, Greg, you're right. You would just adjust volts. Gary, I got your coffee. I'm glad. Hope you're enjoying it, Gary. I had him. Did it come ground up for you? That's what I hope. I asked Trent to do that. Just making sure. 18, 14, 12, 10, depending on what you are running. Yeah, if 124 scale, we would probably bump that up. But question for the group: do slot invasion guides need a screw in them? We don't put a screw in Carrera cars, but slot invasion comes with a screw. All the other ones. Daryl, I love running them to run fast. Then repairing them is the same as tuning them. Yeah. Some cars almost have to have magnets. The Carrera 67 Mustang, for example, it's so top heavy with a jacked up look. Right? Yeah, K-Man, you're right. Yeah, there are some cars that I own that there would no way I would take the magnets out. Magnets are not coming out of this car. They're just not coming out of this car. The bus would not make it around without magnets. Yeah, Gary, I'm planning to do that. I have a feeling that the next couple weeks we'll try to have a race night. Let's see, Marty, don't give up on the new track just yet. It's going to take time. Rob, thanks. Yeah, I agree. But there are just a couple of tweaks that I want to make before we get too far into this thing. The big one is rebuilding the bridge, which will change just this layout altogether. It'll give it a different feel because this will need to be elevated. So you'll be climbing this. This will be climbing up the hill to get up over. And so it's just going to change. It's going to change some things, and it might be fun. Daryl has to cheat a lot more to stay ahead of the 2 Lions crew. Not true. Daryl was fast. Finished in the top 5 both races. Yeah, Johnny Pro, the bus. Yeah, my bus. I love my bus. My kids got that for me for Christmas. My daughter, Maddie, and her husband, Kellen. They couldn't wait to give it to me. They were so excited. Yeah, Daryl whipped us all last week. Yes, he did. Dusty had to do something to crash into your cars. That's right, Wildman. Need some cheating tips. Do you, Daryl? Daryl knows enough. Gloria, thanks. I appreciate that. Was that the green van in Up in Smoke? No, this is actually a Castrol van. Man, that webcam is awful. It will not focus. So it's a Castrol van. So yeah, not the green van from Up in Smoke. That's great. All right, man, it's 9:15 already. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, let me see if my other camera will come back on. Please, other camera. Please, other camera. Come back on. Please. Yes. We're back, fellas. We are back. All right. But I just don't know how long it'll last. I just converted a pullback big wheels bus into a slot car. Nice. That's cool. So we'll move on. But just a reminder, I sent that link out. I'll put it in there again just so it's easy to find. That is a link to my current layout, 4 lanes. Take that, go have fun with it. Learn how to use Softibon Planner. It's a great little planner. Johnny Pro, are you running power jumpers at that track? Yes, I am. I have jumpers for all 4 lanes. I'm at 57 feet, so I just 60. I'm running 3 jumpers around the track, which is probably a little overkill. I probably could get away with 2 jumpers, one over about every 30 feet. But yeah, it doesn't seem to be having a problem. I'm not losing power anywhere, so I think I'm in good shape. But yeah, and that was part of my plan too. So I had to work on all that. So yeah, power jumpers. So two things this past week. The fingers, it happens. In January, we're running, or is it December? At Cincy Slots, I think it's January. Modified Trans Am. And so this is the car Daryl hooked me up with that I'll be working on, modified Trans Am. Now, the rules at Cincy Slots say that you can go with a 3D printed chassis, silicones, you can run, basically the instructions say this is what you throw the money at. Mainly because you have to get them to run halfway decent. That's my opinion. This is Daryl Rogers' favorite class, I think. He has a lot of them. He actually sent a few home. I'll pull them out of the. So this is the car. Come on. That's looking good, man. That's a good looking car. I didn't love this livery, and this is a Scalextrics, and my plan is, a bad night slotting is way better than a good day at work. There you go. Words to live by, Daryl. I have over 400 cars and about 1,000 feet of HO track. Wow. Now you're all caveman. Now you're all about 132. I know it kind of gets in your blood, doesn't it? So my plan is to do a CG slot chassis, get this thing down on the ground a little bit, and do some modifications. I wonder if I could run this camera hub, and we could always do a walk around. I won't launch that just yet. Let me kill that. Steve, the S6 CUDA is sweet. Yeah, it is. I looked at those. Those are really nice. The Happener. That's my new nickname to Fingers. And so I have this car that I need to get started on, but I've got plenty of time. So I've got to order some parts. Trans Am Racing was my favorite. RC Racing. That's cool. Pat, did you pick up the yellow one Saturday? Nice. I was looking at that. Number 89, 98. 98, I think. Amen, Daryl. Yeah, DeFingers, it's a great livery. I really like it. And then the other car that I picked up was the Nissan. If I'm slotted, I will tell you guys, the Group C race at Cincy Slots on Thursday might be my favorite class we've ever run. I really, really enjoyed that class. Gosh, it was so much fun. And so I felt like, you know what? I needed another Group C car to get tuned up. And it's not that my Group C didn't run well. It ran really well. But, I mean, you can't go wrong with the world champion, right? Or not the world champion, but the USA Nationals champion. That Nissan is great. And eventually I'd like to pick up one of the Toyotas. I really like those as well. But we'll get this thing tuned up. I don't know if it'll make it to Cincy Slots this week. Probably the next time. I don't know if we'll make it next week. It's just a lot of driving, and I have to rearrange a lot in my schedule to make it happen on Thursday nights. So, yeah. Yeah, Steve, that's not really the reason why I picked it up. When they released that, I loved that Nissan. It's cool that that became the, Caveman, I do too. Longest angle base. Yeah, it's a top performer. Steve, our buddy Steve, he raced one Thursday night, and it was really, really fast. Which is generally faster, Group C, Nissan, or Toyota? I think it's all going to depend on your track. So the Toyota and the Nissan have a pretty big triangle, I think. What that Steve Sweeney is talking about, and it's that triangle between the guide and the rear axle. And so I think that depending on the track, I think that the fast car on Thursday night was Bruce's Porsche Jägermeister, and was that a 962 or was it a 956? But longer wheelbase car, it was really fast. I think Steve finished second or third with the Nissan, but there was a lot of Porsches. If we go back and look at that. Now I get to retune some cars. Yep, you're right. Yeah, there are lots of great choices of 132 scale. I think that's, in my mind, that's what makes it the best scale out there. 120, if you're into scratch building, I think the 124, 125 scale is probably the best out there because you don't have a lot of choice when it comes to 132nd model bodies. But dang, there's some great cars being released right now. I mean, I really think this is the heyday of 132nd slot cars. We are in the golden age of 132nd slot cars. Yeah, maybe the golden age of slot cars was the 60s when there was thousands of tracks in the United States and around the world. But I think from a 132nd scale right now is the golden age for that. So, Pat, yes, 89 runs, great, but still couldn't beat my 5-year-old granddaughter's car she picked out of a silver McLaren MP4. The fastest car you have, and it's the quietest. My Minolta Toyota was a featherweight. It needs a lot of work for our track. Scott, I don't know if you had a chance to talk to Steve. Steve really likes the Toyotas and probably could help you figure out where you need to put some weight at and what really helps. If I remember right, I think he put some weight right back up against the motor and then even flanked the motor with some weight just to get that thing to handle, the Toyota to handle well. Yeah, I agree. And the Minolta, man, it's a great looking car. I love the livery. Yeah, you picked a good one, Scott. I really would like to have a Toyota, either the Minolta or even that red livery. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what it is. I think it would be would be great. Let's see. The Nissans are the lightest of the bunch. Yeah, I really think that Slotted built a great car there. Yeah, I'm hoping, John, it will be. I don't know. I just don't know if I'm going to get a chance with working on the layout. I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to actually get it tuned up. But I may spend some time tonight trying to get it done. I looked for old 132 snap tight models and older pullbacks. So the older pullbacks, do they have metal or plastic bodies? Because if they're metal bodies, you could cast them like Shotgun Dave in his videos, and is resin casting them, and that's the process is amazing to watch. Oh my gosh, he just did a Volkswagen Beetle that I would like to get my hands on. If I want to scratch build a car, that's the one I want to scratch build. Daryl, 2 Jaeger Porsche cars were first and second. So Daryl, were you second? I can't remember the racing order. Dusty and I were 6 and 7, I think. Yeah, we jumped in there ahead of a couple guys that aren't used to us finishing ahead of them, which was kind of nice. So, Daryl, you were second, and Steve was third, right? Yeah, there was 2 Jaeger Porsches. Or those both, the Jaeger Porsche, is that a 962 or a 956? Get there early. I will look at it, Scott. Thanks, Daryl. You the man. Yeah, Scott, if you get there, let Daryl take a peek at it. He can get you on the right road. I'm happy to help as well. In a wheelie bar. I'm eyeing the Toyota in the red and blue STP livery. Justin, yes, that's the other livery, the STP livery. That's a good one, but you've got to look to find that, I think. Or is that's a new one it hasn't been released yet? Is it out there for pre-order? I can't remember now. But that's a great looking livery. Picked up the Racer Sideways 4 GTE coming tomorrow. Any tuning suggestions? Curvy. I would say I would tune it exactly like every other Sideways car. Ooh, show and tell now. So what I want to do is take this car and turn it into that. Look at the stance, man. Ooh. Ooh, yes, that's what I'm talking about. And then this is an SCX, I think. CUDA. Look at that. I need to throw that on the track. And then there's... Look at that. So maybe I should just... Daryl, do you want to sell one of these? I'm joking. So back to the Sideways. This is my Sideways M1. Once I put new tires on it, it really came to life and ran decent for me. Even though Dusty got me with his Fruit of the Loom car. So a little bit of tape on the chassis. Remove the 2 side pod screws. Glued the fronts to get the nose of the car down. Adjusted that front end. Silicone tires. Ran in the gears. And then probably have about 4 to 5 ounces of weight. And I think that it's back on the motor pod right in front of the motor. So just some basic tuning. That probably gets you there. Yeah, Kirby, they are slammed. If you want to scratch build, a VM Airfix has a 1/32 scale model. Oh, Patricia, thanks. That's cool. Compare the Nissan chassis to your 962. You might be surprised. Is it close? Um, yeah, I think the big thing that they were talking about after the USA Nationals was how light the body is on the Nissan. That Slotted really took great care in this mold and really lightened the body, and that was the big advantage. Yeah, I would say if I think I remember right that the wheelbase is about the same, or that triangle is about the same on those cars. Um, really close. Um, Dusty, the BMW beat me. Yep, you're right. You got me. Uh, Harry has a good video series about slamming cars. Nice low rider jobs, but not excessive. Yeah, Steve. I mean, I think what you're trying to do with these Trans Am cars, um, it's about getting the center of gravity down on these cars because they are kind of top heavy, and this is Shapeways. I forget the name of the company. Chassis on this one, and that's what's on this one. And then this one is the CG chassis, and which looks a little different. But I need to put them on the track and see how they perform. I haven't had a chance to do that. I promised Daryl that I would. So, yep. Thanks for a baseline to go to. Never had a racer sideways. Will be my first. Curvy, I will tell you that I really, really love these cars. You can get them tuned up, and they're fast. These Group 5 cars were running similar lap times to our Group C. Actually, they may have been a little faster. Now that I think about it. So yeah, they definitely are. They're good. They're good to go. So you will not be. Yeah, we love the sideways stuff. They're fantastic, and there are a lot of slotted parts, which is what I like. I mean, Slotted makes some really good stuff, and so a lot of the gears are slotted gears, and it's just they're good quality cars. And then the detail. I think I've said this before. Group 5. This was the first slot car I bought from Bruce, and I did not love Group 5 cars. I absolutely love Group 5 cars now. I've gotten so addicted to them. The Capris look awesome. The Mustangs look great. The M1 is a great-looking car. They really growing on me. And then I got the Skyline. Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with them. They're really good. In the old days, you measured in ounces, not grams. Yeah, so I think I may have said ounces, grams, about 5 grams of weight. The less you can get away with, the better, but you might, see how it does on the track. And yeah, thanks, Daryl. 5 grams, not 5 pounds. Just put 5 pounds. That's funny. The Sideways GT3s have a completely different chassis and motor combo, so they tune differently as well. Oh, see, I don't have a GT3, so I would have started with something similar to the Group 5 cars, but I will tell you that Butch let me run one of his GT3 cars. It was the Riley. I don't love the Riley car, but dang, it was one of the fastest slot cars I've ever driven, and it was so good in the slot. It fixed a lot of my overdriving problems because it could just handle it. I was super impressed with that. I'm going to get a Shapeways chassis for your Challenger. Yeah, Dusty, I think that's a good choice. Underwear cars for the Loom Group 5. Yep. Always good advice from Mr. Albright. I appreciate all of you guys. Daryl, John, Dusty, Steve, all the guys that jump in with tuning help in the channel. I really appreciate that you're willing to share with people. Yeah, good stuff. So, guys, I think it's about time to wrap things up. It's 9:35. This has been great. Really enjoyed it. Again, the challenge is what changes between now and next week on Marty's 4-lane. Daryl, I know it's too white. Daryl does not like white cars. So Daryl, that means you hate that car, right? Yeah, that's good stuff. That's right. They all make fun of our underwear cars until they beat them. Are you kidding me? This was one of my favorite favorite slotted cars. That's actually a GB track, but I love that car. Absolutely love that car. But Dusty got the BMW, but we're gonna track down one of these in the sideways. We'll figure one out. We'll find one, Dusty. Let's see. Gary has a question. Marty, why don't you put the straight track on the bottom and turn the underneath the straights on top? You mean just to flip the whole thing so that the curves are on the bottom side? I could do that. The one thing I have to deal with is right here is a support pole. And no matter what I do, I can measure and figure it out, and the track will always be right up against that stinking pole every time. Every design, I'm like, oh, I can't do that because that pole is there. I don't want the house to fall, or at least the staircase to fall. So we're going to keep the pole there. So we just got to work around it. So we just have to be conscious of that. But Gary, you're right. I could easily flip that upside down and maybe make that easier. I got the 2015-16 livery from the 24-hour Daytona. Nice. I like that. That's actually the same livery that the one that Butch had, I think, was the Daytona prototype, maybe. Thanks, Gloria. Thanks for joining tonight. We appreciate you being here. We had Gloria and Patricia and maybe Amanda with Billy. I may have had the largest contingent of women in slot cars on my live stream. Fantastic. Yep. Till next week. Anthony, thanks, man. I appreciate you guys jumping in tonight. Mark, thanks. We're going to wrap things up. Maybe get some laps. I'm going to move this over to under. Yada, right? Scott, again, thanks, man. That worked out awesome. I don't know how it sounded. I'll go back and listen just to see if maybe I need to EQ it a little bit. Dave, Slot R, if you're listening, I know you're fast asleep. You're a sound guy, and I love you have a great ear. Let me know what you think I should do to maybe improve that sound. Maybe I can do some tweaks and get it running better. Greg, I know where I get a Fruit of the Loom car, I believe, from Sideways. Nice. But yeah, guys, thanks. Appreciate it. Sorry for the camera issue, but the camera's back. Just the battery's dead, I guess. I must not have charged. Maybe the cable was loose. So, guys, go have some fun racing. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Scott, for being here. Really appreciate the microphone. Until next week, those of you who will be at Cincy Slots, it looks like Dusty and I will be there again this week racing. So let's go. Let's go.